Hey folks, it's Jim, it's Julie, it's episode... Who knows?
260?
Yes, it is actually. It's episode 260 of Geeking Out. We are back once again. Welcome to DC Villains Month.
Yes.
It's another theme month on the show. We're not going to get to every single villain book, but we're going to get a good majority of them. So let's start off with Cyborg Superman.
Alright guys, this is Action Comics number 23.1, Cyborg Superman. And in this one, the Brainiacs are responding to a distress beacon, and they find a single surviving Kryptonian, Zor-El. And they decide to reward him for calling for help.
By killing him unmercifully?
By removing everything that makes him him, replacing most of his meat sack with technology, and setting loose a killing machine on the galaxy.
So it's like RoboCop.
Searching for the strongest to bring back to them to be in Brainiac's garden.
I see, so it's kind of like RoboCop.
I'll take your word on that. So, I don't have a lot to say about this book. Personally, it's not a character that I really cared about. The story was interesting. They do a lot of timeline jumping.
Yeah.
Which was really neat, and I really enjoyed the art. So, if you're looking to find out more about Superman's villains, I would check out Cyborg Superman.
Alright, next up we have Superman 23.1, or Bizarro number 1. And in this one, Lex Luthor plans to manipulate Superman's genetic material to create a mindless, obedient super soldier, but instead he unleashes Bizarro, an uncontrollable monster.
Uncontrollable... Monster uncontrollable, you mean?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
So, alright, so this completely changes the origin of Bizarro. If you remember the classic original Bizarro, this is not him. Let's just say that. So, once again, DC has screwed the proverbial pooch and decided to change everything about a character that we as fans care about. And they pretty much do nothing with this character either in this book.
They do very little, but I can see where they've left holes for themselves to do a lot more with him as a character. And it opens a lot of doors for a new sort of villain. Yeah,
I would hope that they at least try and do something with it instead of just leaving where they left this off. But honestly, to me, it just really kind of ruined the character as a whole. And I will go on a bit of a rant right now. I do not like these hollow foil covers.
I like the covers. I wish they had chosen to do them for, say, issue 26 or for the December run of books and surprise people with, hey look guys, here's a fancy fun new cover, instead of setting it up at a time, or setting it up and then not being able to fulfill all of the promises with the covers. Yeah. But I think these covers look fantastic. And
well, that's it. They look nice and everything, but honestly, we went through this in the 90s and it almost killed the comic book industry with the gimmicks and everything. So, for me, it's really a callback to a very bad time in comics. And for that, I just cannot recommend it. And I would prefer to see DC try something different and just, not trying to specialize or bring something out that just, I don't think really anyone really wants.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that front of the statement that nobody really wants, because I've had a large number of requests for the 3D covers.
Okay.
They were received exceptionally well, and I've had more resistance in telling people that I couldn't fill 3D cover requests and could only fill with standard covers. So I think there is a market for more things like this. It just needs to be paced
Yeah, you can't do like 50 or 60 of these in a month. It just it really floods the market and just makes it look, well, invaluable in the long run. To me, anyway. But either way, rant over. I just don't like seeing the 90s come back.
But the 90s brought us Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, and what's Will Smith done with his career lately?
Used it to get a career for his young son. Anyways,
Yeah,
so
where's his career going?
next up today is Batman number 23.1, The Joker. And in this issue, the Joker decides that it's time to start a family, and he is going to do it right. There will be nothing that reminds him of his Aunt Eunice who raised him.
Yes, so he adopts an ape. We're not joking.
It's true. He stole a baby gorilla from the zoo and trained it to be a person. I really enjoyed this. I won't lie. I liked the art style. I liked the coloring choices. I liked seeing...
The book looked nice. It just came out of nowhere.
I loved seeing Joker in a paternal role. It was really funny. It's a really great story. My only question is, when did the Joker get his face put back on? Yeah. Yeah. That's the only thing I want to know.
When/how?
Yeah, how did this happen?
Like, I mean, you could have explained maybe that the ape ripped Joker's face off or something in a fit of rage.
Maybe,
Who
but
knows?
I'm not quite sure how he got his face back. So DC, maybe we can see how the Joker got his face back.
All right. So next up we have The Mocking Dead, number 1. Yeah, I know the title is... yeah. Alright, but in this one, when actual zombies start showing up, a lone intelligence analyst realizes real-life events are mimicking the events of a long-lost Grade Z horror flick. So, as he rushes to save humanity, he learns zombies may not be as dangerous as the ineptitude of the living.
That sounds like it must be amazing.
It's okay. I actually want to see where this series goes because it's supposed to be a comedy. I really didn't laugh much.
Okay.
Not at least in the first issue. So basically, this analyst who works for the government was hired for his skills in pop culture.
His pop culture skills.
Yes. He is basically hired by the government just in case a real zombie apocalypse were to happen, to come up with a plan to stop them. So in that, it's hilarious. Because he's like, well, if I remember correctly, in this particular movie, they stopped the zombies by fire. And to which I would go, zombies don't generally stop with fire, they just become flaming zombies. So, where that might go wrong is probably there.
Yes.
Which would lead to hilarious results of people being eaten by flaming zombies.
The follies of the living.
Yeah. So, this is interesting. This is by the writer of Marvel Zombies, so you know it's going to have a good laugh or two, at least down the line. But I liked it. It was fun, and you don't get to see a zombie. I guess zombie. Yeah, there we go. Very often. So, check this one out. It's actually pretty fun.
Alright.
Zomedy. I just created a word.
Congratulations.
Woo.
Next up for me today is the Star
TM
Wars
copyright.
number 1. This is the original Lucas draft that's been adapted for a comic.
Before some actual writers took over.
You can't say that because I would say that this is... It's just hard to compare what it was originally to what it ended up being because they are so very different.
Oh yeah, and you're not even into the
I'm not into the meat of it. but already in the first 2 pages, it's so different from what I knew. And I just really enjoyed it. So, in this, we still have the Galactic Empire, who's taking over. We still have propaganda from the Empire that the Jedi are all evil, and that the Knights of the Sith are the good guys.
Yep.
We still have a large formed rebellion, so there are a lot of factors that are very similar. But this comes up in a very different light. It very much is told from the perspective of the Jedi being the bad guys in the story.
Yep.
We focus on Anakin Starkiller and his Jedi father. We focus a little bit on Darth Vader and the Empire.
Yeah, Anakin and Darth are different people.
Yes, they exist at the same time. That...
Woo-hoo.
It made my brain explode a little bit. I won't lie.
Yeah.
So, yeah. If you guys are hardcore Star Wars fans, or if you just want to know where it came from, I really recommend this. The art was beautiful. I loved all of their stylistic choices. I enjoyed the story. I'm really, really interested to see where they're going to go with it. Because there are so many characters that we see from such a different light.
Yep, and considering you're not even into the meat of the story, where so much else gets changed.
Yeah,
I've read the original script a long time ago, and yeah, it's really different.
I'm really excited to see where this is going to go. So guys, if you like Star Wars, or if you have an interest in seeing where it came from, head to your local comic shop, pick up a copy of number 1, because it was really good.
Alright, next up. It's X-Men, Battle of the Atom, number 1. Yes, Jim is reading a Marvel comic and a DC comic in the same episode. You are not going insane. Yes, I know. Stop bleeding out the ears there, Julie. Alright.
That's from my previous brain implosion.
Okay. So, in this one, while investigating a new mutant, something happens that shakes time and space to its core and causes the X-Men of the future to pay a visit with a dire message. Yeah, they kill Scott Summers again. But he comes right back. Alright, so unless you are really following the current, series of X-Men, because this
maybe
literally...
2 out of 3.
I'd say, yeah, at least 2 out of the 3. But unless you are following those series, you are going to be lost.
So you'd want to be following Uncanny X-Men, X-Men, and All New X-Men.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Because all the teams converge in this book. And so you've got different time periods converging with one another. You've got different characters who are from different times converging with each other. And a lot of weird stuff goes on. Let's just say that.
Weird stuff in an X book?
Yeah.
Never.
Now, something that got to me a tiny tad is seeing one of my favorite characters. I used to read Marvel back in the day, way long ago, and I loved Shadowcat Kitty Pryde. And I know she's Jewish, but I've never seen her say "Oy vey." She says it in this book, and it comes out of nowhere. So, if anyone can explain to me why she just suddenly
maybe they want to be more multicultural.
Well, yeah, I mean, no problem with that, but it just came out of nowhere. And it was just like, what? So, as much as I love it, it's interesting, especially when you get into the whole time paradox thing. I mean, when you kill off a certain character and bring them right back, which kills off the future one at the exact same instant and brings him back at the same instant, it's weird.
Now I'm bleeding from the ears.
Yeah. So you've got a lot of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff in here with a lot of different characters. So they've got a lot to focus on, and they just can't seem to focus on anything all at one time. So it's a little bit all over the place. So unless you're reading all of the X titles and can really delve into, well, the wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff that's going to happen throughout this miniseries, yeah, it's interesting. I just can't highly recommend it unless you know exactly what you're getting into.
I'm just going to jump in here with a few small notes about Battle of the Atom as a mini-series storyline.
Yeah.
If you guys remember, about 6 months ago, we did the Exterminate, which was Age of Apocalypse, and I don't remember anymore. Extreme XMen, and then there was a third X title that was involved in there. This is running very, very similarly. Same with the Minimum and Maximum Carnages.
Yeah.
Where you had a book on the outside, a book on either side, and then story in the middle that happened in their own titles.
Yeah.
So if you guys do pick up Battle of the Atom, make sure that you ask your local comic shop which titles you'll want to get the full story.
Well, they actually have a nice list in here of all the books that are coming out that are in story. So
that's really convenient then.
Which is good, because that can get confusing at times when you have so many X titles. So if you're an X-Men fan, do check this one out. It is a lot of fun, but you're really going to be confused unless you're reading it because of all the timey-wimey, wibbly wobbly stuff. I'm quoting Doctor Who way too much.
Speaking of timey-wimey, wibbly wobbly stuff.
Oh boy, here we go.
Last and not least for me today is Forever Evil #1. This is another mini-series. This is the response to the Trinity Wars that crossed over all of the Justice League titles for June and July.
Yep.
No, July and August. Yep. My apologies. So, in this, Nightwing has been kidnapped, the doors of Arkham have been ripped from their hinges, and the Justice League heroes
Sounds like a normal
are all
day to
dead.
me. Sounds like a normal day in DC to me.
So, with the Justice League heroes dead, who's going to stop the crime syndicate when they come from their world to ours to take over?
Bob, the janitor.
Thank you for clearing that. So, guys,
he's very good with a mop.
I really enjoyed this book. I will admit that it was at times confusing, just because I personally am not terribly familiar with the crime syndicate, though it did ring some bells for me. If you're looking to find out more about Ultraman and Owlman...
What, Ultraman? The Japanese giant kaiju fighting robot is in here?
Ultraman, an alternate version of Superman.
Oh, okay. Well, now I'm sad.
The version of Superman that uses kryptonite. Very similarly, it appeared as one would use cocaine.
Oh.
Yes.
Mm.
So that was interesting for me. On that note, because of that scene, I really would recommend this for...
Kids, don't do kryptonite.
For a slightly more adult audience. I wouldn't lean much lower than 14, and 14's even a little young as far as I'm concerned.
Well, considering how adult a lot of the DC stuff has been.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
As always, use your best judgment. I liked this story. I'm so excited to see where it's going to go.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see what's happening. You guys have no idea. So
she's literally shaking the table.
I truly was. Yes. So guys, check it out.
All right, and last and certainly not least this week, we have me doing another DC book.
But it's Batman.
Yeah, so nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
So we have Batman, Black and White, #1 of 6, which features the stories Don't Know Where, Don't Know When, which has Robin trying to find Batman after he's been transported by the Joker somewhere in the world. So he teams up with Superman.
So they play Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Basically with Batman, yeah.
Nice.
Batman Zombie, in which Zombie Batman doesn't help anyone, even though they're asking for his help. Because he's, well, a zombie.
How can Zombie Batman help anybody?
Eating people's brains, of course! Justice is served, which I absolutely loved. This was the best story in this book. It felt like an episode of Batman animated to me. It is a Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy story, and you will be well versed to pick up this book just for that story alone. It is so worth it.
I read that story, nothing else, just that one, and am willing to pay the $4.99 cover price for it.
It is so worth it. It is just a fun story, and when you get those two characters together, it just happens to be a really fun time.
They're so funny.
Yeah. There is also Driven, in which Batman faces off against a little bit of a crazy driver in the streets of Gotham. And last and certainly not least is Head Games, in which the ventriloquist tries to get Scarface back.
That's neat.
So it really goes into a bit more depth in the character of the ventriloquist, which is always a nice thing, because that character doesn't get enough
we don't see
screen
much
time and page time. So, honestly, if you are a Batman fan and just want to see some really beautiful work, I mean, even in black and white, this is just gorgeous work. And it just works so freaking well.
I was so surprised by the detail in the Harley and Ivy book.
It's just a beautiful looking book.
So good.
End of story. Absolutely. If you are a Batman fan, check this book out. It is simply wonderful and totally worth the price. Alright, so that brings us to the close of another exciting episode. Please join us next week as we continue DC Villains Month, where I have to suffer through more horrible DC books. See you next week.